Hey guys, Brandon Hanley here. I am on with LeeAnn Ielmini. She just showed me how to pronounce her last name because there's a lot of syllables going on there, and I couldn't quite figure that out on my. So thank you for that. Um, I met LeeAnn recently, and LeeAnn, congratulations! You're going to be the first solo female on the show. Uh, and we met a couple weeks back now at an event in Cincinnati for Sam Crowley's Every Day is Saturday. And I thought to myself, I feel like I'm kind of limiting my guests by just picking up dads most of the times, right? And I thought your story was pretty cool. And one of the, I'm going to let you share your story, but then I'm also just going to kind of pick your brain on how like your dad influenced you and being where you are, good or bad, right? Like, so I don't even know. So how that's going to go. So why don't you give us like a little rundown on what LeeAnn's been up to? Give me something good that's going on in your life right now. I'd also, encourage you to let the audience know what that event was like, because I know you've been to quite a few other like Tony Robbins events, and you said that this one was one of the ones that you had the biggest impact on you, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. This was by far the absolute best seminar that I've ever been to, because it was more intimate setting and it really helped hone down on what I individually want to do. So yes, I've gone and I've done a lot of personal development. I'm only 25. Let's start with that. I'm 25 years old. So in this space of going to seminars, I'm usually surrounded by upwards of 35 to 40 and in the 50s area. So I'm kind of the youngin', and I get to really glean off of people's wisdom because they've already lived through life. They have kids already. They're married and divorced. So I get to learn a lot from that. And what I do is, first of all, I'm a jack of all trades for sure. But
Sure.
I'm an entrepreneur, and my dad plays a really big role in that. In the fact that, okay, so let me talk about my story first.
Well, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah, go for
Before
it.
you get going, right? So you've been to quite a few of these events in the personal development space, and like you said, you're only 25. And for me, that's I got two questions. Is that like, are there a whole bunch of millennials like you? Are you all out there and you're trying to improve yourselves already, or are you kind of standing out in that area? And there's not too many people that your age that are like, hey, I'm going to go to this Tony Robbins event. I care about being intentional about my future, etc.
Usually people that are around my age have somebody, their parent is also in this space and going to seminars and doing that sort of thing. So for me, I was kind of alone. I kind of stumbled upon it because I had gotten involved in an MLM, and one of the trainers that would teach in that MLM also started going into this online space and teaching and having online courses and doing that kind of thing and being a speaker. And I knew I'd always wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. A lot of people told me that I had that gift of having, there's just something about me in the way that I talk. I could talk very passionately. I'm very fun to watch because I use my hands a lot. So it just leaned me more towards doing that. So I'm far and few that even know that seminars kind of exist. Okay. And so, I did the whole school thing. Part of my story, I can come up here. This is a good spot for it. Part of my story is I did what society kind of tells us to do. I did that flawlessly. I did it fantastically. I graduated early from a great school with a 3.8 GPA and with a job in my field. And so that's kind of who I was surrounded with. And so I kind of took this going and doing this entrepreneurial space, going to seminars as my master's degree rather than going back and getting a traditional education.
Okay. And what was your traditional education in?
Marketing. I have a marketing degree with a psychology minor.
Okay.
So I had a few years back, I'd actually remember saying in one of my classes, I think my sophomore year, that I couldn't wait to manipulate minds into buying stuff. Terrible, right? So I remember saying that.
It's what the tools you were gifted with there are, or at least you learned, right? That's pretty much how they work.
Yeah, so it's really cool because I've gotten exposed to that back end of marketing and that side of marketing because I was there. And I got touched by the Lord about my junior year of college. And that's when everything really started to transform. And that's where I really started to get into the entrepreneurial space and started seeing the world very, 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 very differently from what I had previously believed.
So that was another part that you shared with us up there, that you're very devout. And so that didn't happen until you were older?
Yeah, it just happened. I'm coming up on my four-year anniversary of that on the 22nd. So a few days from now, it'll be about 4 years with my walk with the Lord.
How did that happen, if you don't mind my asking?
It's actually pretty funny. That happened because I went and saw a comedy. Well, I've been dating my boyfriend for 7 years. We just celebrated our 7-year anniversary this past Saturday, and he has been a Christian his entire life. And I used to like poke fun at his family because like my family, we grew up with Easter baskets, Halloween, all that jazz. We went full out, full blown. And I used to like poke fun at his family because they didn't do Easter baskets. They didn't do Halloween. Like they would always like to eat for Halloween. They would never go trick-or-treating or dress up. And they would make a birthday cake for Jesus and, on Christmas. And I was like,
that's something else. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little much. So what happened was I ended up going to see a comedy, a movie that was actually created to make fun of Christianity. There's a few very well-known actors that are very avid people against God and against the whole idea of heaven and hell and all that kind of stuff. So they made this movie called This Is the End to poke fun at Christianity and kind of exaggerate the beliefs and what it's really all about. And it brought me to tears. I was terrified because I had no idea whether or not I was going to heaven. I had no idea. So I asked myself that question, like, well, am I qualified to go to heaven or not? And so it was actually my boyfriend's parents' birthday. And so they've known the Lord for a really long time in their life. And we get back to his house and they end up praying over me. And that day I accepted Jesus into my life, and it was like this weight of the world just taken off of my shoulders, and I was given like this new lens of life to look through. And so that's how that happened.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's keep going on now.
I'm sorry?
So I mean, we went from you did the marketing, the psychology, and
yeah.
background. You did find the religion. But, kind of give us a little bit of the journey past that then.
So around the same time, it was only like 1 or 2 months different from that, I had started working out because after starting dating my boyfriend, I gained quite a bit of weight. And my whole life I had been an athlete. And that's where I could like bring up my dad because he really, really supported me in that. I was like the last chance at a son. And I ended up being the son he never had because I played sports. My parents got divorced when I was 8, and when I moved to this new town, I was in a neighborhood of all boys.
Okay. I
ended up playing boys baseball, so he got to enjoy watching me play boys baseball for seven years of my life, and then I moved to softball. And I will tell you, he was at every single game except for like 1 or 2 when he had a union meeting or something like that.
Okay.
So I kind of lost track a little bit there.
Right.
So. Yeah. So I started getting involved in fitness, and then I started getting involved in an MLM company that was involved with the fitness program that I had decided to pick up. And I started seeing this space where, wow, I can help people totally transform and change their lives through health and fitness the way that I had done. And as I'm starting to grow a little bit older and a little bit farther into this journey, I'm realizing, okay, was it the fitness or was it the Lord? Like, which one was it? And I'm really having to discern between how those have worked in tandem together to really make me and project me who I was. The MLM had opened me up to this world of seminars. Like I said, the trainer.
Gotcha.
And the craziest part is that my dad has no clue of this space.
So he's not aware of the space, or he's not aware that you're doing it?
He is just he doesn't understand the entrepreneurial space whatsoever because he's had the same exact job since he was 15 years old.
You say he's a union man, right?
The union man. He's just retired now. Okay. So in the beginning, I didn't want to quit my job. So I graduated with that job in my field. It was a perfect job for somebody in my position. I had 3 internships already. I did everything by the books. Like I was like star, like hang me up on the wall. She did this perfectly type of thing. And I had made him very proud.
Sure.
made him very proud. You know, I'd always craved his love the most. He was always there for me. My mom would love me no matter what I did. You know, I could like, you know, do really, really horrible things and she would still love me unconditionally. But I had this relationship with my dad since they divorced when I was 8 and I only saw him once a week. I didn't have that closeness. The closeness that I had with him had started to break apart. But I know deep down he always still loved me. It was just this mental thing that I had to get over that I had built up inside of my head, that the only way my dad is going to love me is if I make money and if I make a lot of it.
Okay.
Because that's what made him feel very, very secure and successful in his life.
Okay.
Was the security that he created with his job and the amount of money that he was able to make. And I thank him so much because he did really show me the value of having money. Money allows you to be able to do the things that you want to do in your life. I remember back in the day, a lot of people look at this story a little differently, and I'm really grateful for it. I used to be mad about it. Now I'm really grateful for it. And it's one of those things that as a father, talking from a daughter's perspective, there's going to be things that your son or daughter might not like right now. But as they grow older and more wise, they're going to appreciate those things in those moments. So when I was like 5 years old, we went to a flea market. And I was really big into like scrunchies, like those old school, like big, silly scrunchies. And I really wanted to get one. And I was like, Daddy, can you buy me this scrunchie? Like, I really want it.
Sure.
And he said, do you have 25 cents to buy it? And I said, nope. I was like 5 years old, you know, like where
sure.
can I pull this money out of, you know, even though it's 25 cents. And he said, well, then you can't get it.
Huh.
I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really blessed that, you know, my mom was the total opposite. And I think that's why they got divorced, is because she would give me the whole world. You know, if there was something for $5,000 and she only had $200 to her name, she'd find the money to go buy me that thing.
Sure.
And my dad would really make sure like he wouldn't just give things to us. And so I was really blessed to have this balance between, okay, you have to make sure you're paying attention to what you have and what you can really spend and where you spend your money on. And then over here too, with my mom, it was really that nice, you know, just be free sometimes and just allow yourself to make some decisions, even though they're not financially secure.
Right. Fair enough. So,
yeah.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going into right now? You've done the MLM, you're into the fitness, and you're tying it in with the Lord. I want you to tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you are getting into.
Yeah, and I think my dad would probably, this would help him to know too, because he's gotten to the point now, he's like, how you doing with whatever you're doing? And it's kind of a relief because I don't have to sit there and try to explain it all. But right now I have a few different programs that I'm developing for people, because as I've gone through my fitness journey and I've been with this MLM, and I'm not really I'm not trying to build my MLM anymore, because I want to work more directly with the consumer rather than teaching somebody how to be a coach or having to build a team of that nature, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm really kind of broken off and used what I've learned from there, and I've just been really grateful for the experience in that realm. But now I'm really starting to go into how can I help people really discover and find their specific fitness and faith path. Okay. So a lot of times we do this looking around, like what is everybody else doing? What is everybody else doing? And we're also being fed. So this is where my psychology and marketing really comes into. Right. I know that the best product isn't the one you're necessarily seeing, which is really unfortunate. The best product out there for you might be hidden because they spent more money in research and development for the product than they did in marketing. But the guy who spent more money in the marketing department is the one that you're seeing. So I really want to help people figure out a fitness program, fitness regimen, health, and faith at the same time. Right. What really fits into your life rather than fitting your life into somebody's specific program or whatnot. Right. Like, yes, it's great to be told what to do and have that balance because it does give you the best results in the end. But once you hit that end point, if it doesn't fit into your life anymore, what happens? You fall off and you go all the way back to where you were before you started that program. My goal is to really take people and bring them through the journey with life. It's not just the program. It's, okay, what parts of health and fitness can I pull and bring right into my life right now? And then I'll just build upon it and build upon it and build upon it. And then, hey, a year from now, whoa, I got guns. I'm down 20 pounds. And it's not really focusing just on the temporary result that you want to get 20 days from now, but it's really building the habits, the seeming, like, as you know, as a fellow entrepreneur, it's a seemingly insignificant habits built up over time and over time that make you who you are and really bring you to the results that you honestly crave in here.
Right.
Not just in here, not just when you're viewing and you're comparing yourself to other people, but in here, the things that really align with who you are.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. That sounds great. Now, how far along are you with it?
Well, at the seminar, which was just a week ago, by the way, you said it was a few weeks ago. It was
just 1 week ago?
Just 1 week ago. It feels like a really long time because
yeah.
I know that you and I have probably done a lot with this past week. So before I got the idea for that. I actually have a program called Find Your Fit, YOUR, Find Your Fitness. And I developed that a long time ago. And then I met with Jesse Cole, our buddy Jesse and Kingdom Mogul Man. And we sat down and had an interview. And he had really pulled this Find Your Fit back out from my, I guess, armor or whatever you want to call it. And we kind of like retweaked it and redeveloped it and redefined it a little bit. And so I'm going to be pulling from my old program, and bringing in new stuff and creating kind of like tiered products for people, because this is something that I don't want people who don't have access to funds to not be able to figure out. So I'm going to have a few different tiered, and I really have to develop that right now.
So you're in the midst of building, like you had like the one program, Find Your Fitness, and you're combining that with what exactly?
So I'm developing the Find Your Fit program. It's going to be Find Your Fit.
Okay.
And fit being fitting into your lifestyle. So developing a program for yourself that's like an eating plan that's going to work with this fitness program, but that's going to fit into your lifestyle and really help people figure out and find out what are those things, rather than, just buying a program boxed off the shelf. Like the more I'm getting into the space, the more I'm realizing every single person is way different. And even in like, let's say the CrossFit realm, not every CrossFitter is exactly the same. They do different things.
Sure.
They do different diets. They have different options. And it's bringing all that to awareness and saying, okay, what parts really fit? So it's going to be an online program, and it's also going to be there's going to be a coaching program along with that as well. I can work one-on-one with you. You could just do the online program, or you can just go ahead and download the free ebook that's going to explain all of that and get you going, get you right just to that next step up, not necessarily all the way there, but just that next step up here.
Right. Taking from A to B, right? A to B.
Yeah. Not all the way to B, just like a step closer to B.
Right on. Now, and you're going to have faith tied in with that as well?
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very open about my faith right from the beginning. And that's something that I learned at the seminar that we were at too. I had shared that pretty deep secret with you that I'm going to keep.
All right, fair enough.
I'm still going to keep that.
I didn't know whether or not
that on the DL right now. That's a very intimate space where I was able to keep that.
Absolutely.
But I realized that if I just start with that, then it won't be such a shock to everybody later. You just start being real. My faith is a huge part of me. I check in with my boy JC every single day. So, and that's how kind of like my relationship is. I'm not like this, he's just a big man in the sky that I have to fear. He's like my brother. He's my boy. He's got my back. He messes around with me. He plays jokes with me. I was kind of telling Jesse that too. So I'm just going to start with that. It's very interesting to see, Sam, he didn't incorporate it. And then he realized how much he really did need to incorporate it because it aligned with who he was. Right. And then he started incorporating it. And then I feel like his tribe of people really became stronger at that moment. So I want to start with that. I'm going to lead with that. Sure. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be doing this right now.
You wouldn't be, if it wasn't for him kind of letting his faith out, you probably wouldn't be as aligned with Sam.
If it wasn't for my relationship with the Lord that I have,
right,
I would still be in the back end of marketing, trying to manipulate minds rather than helping people. Now I'm in this realm of I really, really want other people to succeed in life and see life for its beauty and what it really has to offer. And you gotta get all the gunk out of the body to be able to just really, really capture all of it.
Sure. Now, you talked about the larger marketers or, people with a larger budget being the ones that break through and get to people. So how are you planning? And I think we're at an individual marketing level right now, right? So how you're going to be using some of the tools that you've learned to get to people on an individual level? How are you planning on getting past the big guys?
I'm going to get past the big guys by doing what I said, leading with the truth first, leading with that rawness and realness first, and being okay with not being perfect. So there's these brands that have to uphold perfection. They have to uphold this certain standard that's really hard to uphold, because as soon as something leaks, the entire brand is destroyed and distrusted. So what I'm going to do is, even though it might take me slower to rise, I'm going to rise at a very, very solid foundation, because I'm going to make sure that I'm true to myself. I'm going to make sure that there's no fakeness, there's no lying, there's no acting a certain way, there's no saying that I do something that I don't actually do. I was actually just recording videos for my Clean Me Out program, which is a 4-day detoxing program that's very faith-based, along with increasing your relationship with food. And I was making the videos, and I was like, I'm telling you that you should eat clean the week after, but I went to Bahama Breeze and had tostones 2 days after. And it's that being, I'm human.
Yeah, no, I think that's refreshing, and I think that we're seeing that more and more today. What you're putting out there is being able to be 100% you, not even like 98%, like 100% yourself. You can be yourself, and crazy enough, but the world has a good chance of accepting you, right? So that's pretty cool what you're getting into. And again, so I'm gonna, and I enjoy it. Where now, I'm not gonna drop us right to the site yet. Like I'm gonna go back to the dad thing, right? Just for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they divorced around 8. How close? He saw you once a week, and that was forever up until now. How close are you guys? Where's he at now? And you also mentioned, I guess, that you felt like you had to be this successful for him, and was that just simply because he wasn't around enough, or
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So yeah, I divorced at 8. He was like, I was daddy's girl. I was like his. He would tuck me in and caterpillar me in and cocoon me in, and I had no idea. By the way, I had thought that my family was this perfect American family. My 3 older sisters had actually sheltered me from my parents fighting.
Okay.
So I had thought we had this, straight up perfect American family. My parents were happy. We had a nice house. We lived in a great town, all this kind of stuff. And then one day I was sent away to the pool. I came back and the house was empty. I was like, oh, we're moving into grandma's house. And so,
wow,
the big culture shock. Yeah. All of a sudden, like my dad, who had tucked me in every night in this like cocoon, and all those like gooey memories that I have being a little girl with my dad were gone. But I was very grateful, because the whole agreement of the divorce was that me and my one sister, until we turned a certain age, I don't remember what it was, had to see him at least once a week. So Sunday was our day.
Right.
I grew up Catholic, so he would pick me up early. We'd go to church. We'd go get Burger King. We'd go see a movie. We'd do stuff together. We'd go to like the racetracks, and so I got to have a really big one-on-one relationship with him, and it was really cool. And like I said, he came to every single one of my games. Now, my mom wasn't able to. My mom supported me and loved me, all kind of stuff, but she wasn't able to because of her job. My dad had, because he was a union guy, he would wake up like ridiculously early, but he would get out around 3 and be able to come to every single thing. And we would talk. It was because of the agreement, but then I only saw him every single week until I got a job when I was 15. So it was every single week from 8 to 15. And then I started working at McDonald's, and I worked the morning shift, 7 to 3:30. And that's when I stopped seeing him every week. But luckily I would still see him all throughout the week through all my games. If you have anybody, a child who plays Little League, that it's kind of demanding on the time.
Yeah, the schedules are ridiculous, man. The schedules are ridiculous. The schedules are ridiculous. It's not like you go out in the backyard and play, and you come in for dinner when it's done. It's my son was like 7 years old. We would go for baseball, and we wouldn't get home till like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, whoa, dude. I mean, come on now. I want to go to bed. I don't even care. I want to, I'm going to dig in a little bit here too. I mean, when the divorce is happening, and during any of this time, was there ever like a period where like you're mad at him, you want to go live with him, any not necessarily altercation, but just like, struggles, right? Because of that happening in your life because your dad wasn't there.
I would say not necessarily. I was really confused, to be honest with you. And I don't necessarily think that was just my father or my mother's fault. It was just, me thinking I had this perfect family, and then it just disintegrated. And my mom had already found somebody else that I had to try to get used to. And so I think my relationship with my dad grew even more because of the divorce,
Okay.
because there was another guy involved. I'd really missed my dad, and it was like, nobody can replace my dad. It's my dad. Like, I love my dad, and I still do to this day. And I think the biggest altercation really came with my sisters, because my dad had shown so much support with me in sports. And I remember almost getting into a fist fight one time with my one sister because she had done color guard. And my dad didn't go to every single one of her color guard shows, but he came to every single one of my baseball games.
Okay.
So because he had an interest in this, like, he didn't really love baseball. He played when he was younger, but he didn't really know too much. And he also came to every single one of my volleyball games when I started playing volleyball in high school. And so I think that was the biggest stressor, was that it was like a competition with my sister of who could really gain dad's love the most, because he wasn't around, and like who could draw him closer to us, even though we lived 45 minutes away. And it was really, really, I feel like now that I'm older, I like look at it and I'm like, man, it's really hard for a dad who is now separated from his kids. And it's like, how do I show all of them the same amount of love? Because everybody needs to be shown love differently. Like, knowing that now, motivation for me is huge. But like, for me, if you say, go get him, like, you're awesome, I'm good. I know you love me. But my sister, on the other hand, her love language is quality time. So in order for her to know that you love her, you need to spend quality time with her. And that was something that I don't think that my dad did enough with her, because she did have to spend those Sundays with us in the beginning, but that was a very, very short period of time, because she's 5 years older than me. And she started working when she was 15. So it was only like a year or two that she was with us on those Sundays.
I gotcha.
Spending that quality time. And then, with any divorce, kind of like the ideas of how you think life should go. And, I understand this too now. Kids kind of think they know it all,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we kind of started going in different directions for how we think life should be panned out. And I think as I started growing older, there was this big tension of like, oh, you think life should be this way, but I think life should be this way. And that's when me and my dad started butting heads, because he had gotten remarried, and that, like, oh man, that messed me up pretty bad.
How so?
I just didn't see him happy. I didn't see him smiling. Like, what I think marriage is was different than what he thought it was. Or my dad just didn't have the same personality as me. So for me, I'm very expressive and all that kind of stuff. And my dad's just not. Like, he could be like super happy, but he's just chilling.
Right.
So for me, I didn't see the expression of joy that he should have displayed, in my opinion, of when somebody gets married, the type of joy that they should be explained. And then of course there's that root of like, oh, I thought there was a chance that they could get back together or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really big, just mental stuff going up and down in my head, and not necessarily really to do with my dad's specific actions or verbiage or things that he said, but it was more of the idea of what I had life was supposed to be inside of my head.
Gotcha.
Compared to what was being displayed.
I gotcha. It sounds like you fared pretty well through it, right? What would you say some of the would you give, anybody else who's, I don't know, say somebody's kids listening to this right now, right? Like, as we're driving down, somebody who's trying to be a better dad or whatever, or a parent is listening and their kid's in the car and they just went through a divorce. Is there any advice that you would give kids going through a divorce to try and help them handle it?
Yeah, and I've actually experienced that. I have a very close, like, family friends. They went through a divorce, and number one, it's not your fault. It's got nothing to do with anything that you did or didn't do. And sometimes, like I was just saying, how me and my dad, we started growing apart in our ways that we believed life was supposed to be. Sometimes that happens to moms and dads too. When all it takes is one time of, hey, I think we should do this. And the other person's like, no, I think we should do this. And then they just keep going further and further. So biggest thing is it's not any kid's fault out there that their parents get divorced whatsoever. And it doesn't mean that your parents love you any less. And being a parent is really, really, really hard. Like, I'm not a parent yet, but all three of my sisters are. And I'm a very observant person. I love to watch parents try to raise their kids and all this kind of stuff. And I've seen it. I've heard a lot of stories. Being a parent is hard. Just look at your action. Look at what you do sometimes and how you think you know it all. And as a kid, sometimes we can't wrap our brains around things right now. But one day it'll become clear to you. And when your parents try to discipline you, it's because it's out of love. They want the absolute best for you in your life. And even if you're not vibing on the same wavelengths right now at the moment, it really just comes down to just keep loving them no matter what. Because something that brought me and my dad closer together, we lost my grandma, and then we lost my cousin, who is only a few years older than me. We lost him to cancer. And it still hurts. But what it does is it puts into perspective that you don't know what the next day is going to be like. You don't know when you have that. And you don't want just like the differences of how you think life should be should never separate you and somebody of your family, especially a parent. There's nothing like the parent and child bond. The mother-daughter, mother-son, father-daughter bond that you can create, with your dad, or if I'm talking to a dad, with your children. Never let, differences of how you think life should be and the actions that are taken keep you away from the ultimate underlying just love. Life is about love. That's really what it just comes down to. And you never want to intentionally pull your relationship with somebody away. Sometimes it happens unintentionally, but you never, if you have power, if you have control over it, keep it.
Right.
And that's what I would definitely say.
Now, what was your favorite Father's Day gift?
My favorite Father's Day? Well, it was actually, Father's Day was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I was actually really happy because I always wonder, my dad has a lot of money. My dad retired with $1 million for his retirement. So he was, like I said, he was very good with money. He was very good at saving. He knew he's all about the 401k, all about that. And that's why it's hard for him to understand why I would want the entrepreneurial thing when I did the corporate thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have benefits and 401k, all that kind of stuff. So he had all that. So it's very difficult to try to find him gifts because he has everything that he wants already.
Right.
So it was really cool because this year he texted us and he said, I just want to go and see a movie. I want to go see Cars, and Cars was something really special for me and him because, like I said, I would see him every Sunday. We'd go and we'd see movies, and Cars was one of those big movies where, that was me and him kind of thing. So he just wanted to go and see Cars with all of his kids and all the grandkids together. He just wanted everybody together, and it was really cool because, like I was saying, mine and his view of what life should be about started splitting because I didn't really care about money whatsoever. I could be broke, but I could still be happy. But for him, he needed money in order to feel safe or secure. I think that also has a masculine thing to it too. But it was cool because his request for that meant that he had now valued just being with people more.
Right on. That's a great gift. That's fun. So
it was really, and I gave him pistachios because pistachios are his favorite. So I got him the giant bag from Costco.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. That's a huge bag, by the way. And
it's giant.
It's ridiculous and delicious. I don't know why pistachios are so great. All right. So your product, are you live anywhere yet? Are you getting it started? Where can people connect with you?
Well, I have my Silly Head Fitness page. So if you haven't noticed already, I love being silly and laughing and smiling. And I like to go about things in a way that is different. And some other people might call it silly. Silly's been linked to the term stupid, unfortunately. But I just kind of let go of heavy things in life because a lot of people like to harp on things that aren't really that big of a deal.
Right.
So Silly Head Fitness.
Okay.
That's spelled how it sounds. It's spelled with the words. At Sleehead Fitness. That's my handle on Facebook. Facebook is where you're going to find me the most.
Okay.
I got some cool stuff on there. I do a 1-minute daily fit tip. So if you just want nice, quick, little edible pieces of tips, you could find me there. Very, very easy. Every single day I'm doing that. So yeah, that right now that's where we're at. The Find Your Fit is still in the back end on the computer, still in the workings. So that'll be released within the year for sure.
Okay, cool. I mean, something to look forward to, right?
Yeah, man.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. Again, first female solo act.
What's up? I'm about it.
A lot of fun. So again, thank you.